Let me ask you a question. I don't want the polished Instagram caption type of answer. I want the uncomfortable, honest one. What are you trying to bring into your life right now? And what are you refusing to let go of to make space for it? Here's what I found to be the truth that most people will probably never hear. The problem isn't that you can't create change. The problem is often that you're trying to build the new while desperately clinging on to the old. In my practice of life, that's not how it works. We've been taught this idea about growth, and that idea is that we have to add things to our life in order to grow. We have to add better habits. We have to add more confidence, discipline, success, money, peace, however that's done. But nobody talks about the other half of the equation, the idea that growth is subtraction before it's addition. You don't just bring something in, you make room for it. And that's where things get quite uncomfortable for most people, because making room means something has to go. I once worked with someone who said that they wanted change more than anything in the world. Better relationships, more confidence, less chaos, more control over their life. They were doing all the right things on the surface. They probably read more books about self-development than I have. They were listening to all of the usual podcasts. They were journaling every night, and they were speaking affirmations to themselves in the mirror, but nothing was changing. And after a little bit of exploration, we came to the conclusion they wanted a new life without letting go of the coping mechanisms that helped them survive their old one. They wanted peace, but they refused to let go of the drama. They wanted confidence, but they held on to the self-deprecation because it kept expectations low, took away that pressure feeling. They wanted growth, but stayed loyal to the people who only recognized the older, smaller version of them. And here's the part that hit them like a punch in the chest. They weren't failing. They were protecting something. See, automatically that gives you that autonomy within the situation. I often wonder, I live in Cornwall in the UK, but I wasn't born here. I was born in Hertfordshire. And I often wonder to myself, would I be anything like I am right now? Would I have a podcast? Would I be touring the country doing public speaking? Would I have coaching clients? Would I have a self-made course out there that's helping loads of people? Would I have a book that will be out this year? It will be. Would I have any of those things if I'd stayed in Hertfordshire? Now, this feels a bit like I'm trying to blame others, and I'm not. I'm just saying there are certain people that keep reflecting the character of who they want you to be or who you've shown them to be in the past back to you all the time. And they commend that character. They give it a round of applause. They feed that character and say, yeah, we like that. We like drunk, funny Johnny. We like the person that keeps showing up in the same way. It gives us comfort. It makes us feel secure and okay. And when you start moving towards being different, it makes me feel uneasy. And we're not going to gratify that. So you go back to the person that you was, the person that gets all the admiration and the applause and the thank yous and the, oh, you were brilliant last night and all of that. You go back to them. It makes sense. It's logical. And it offers you comfort and familiarity. You see, most people say that they are afraid of change, but they're not. They're afraid of who they will be without what they've been holding on to, because even unhealthy patterns serve a purpose. Overworking gives you worth. People-pleasing gives you belonging. Self-sabotage gives you an excuse. Staying busy gives you avoidance. Staying stuck gives you certainty. Letting go means losing the identity attached to those patterns, and that, let's call it what it is, that is terrifying. Because it isn't easy. It's really, really hard. It's really, really hard to change. That's why we constantly find these places, these points in the year where we make these promises to ourselves and we're not able to move forward because it's terrifying. It's completely terrifying to lose that identity attached to those patterns that have honestly kept us safe all of this time. Let me put it a little bit simpler, perhaps. You can't renovate a house while insisting every piece of old furniture stays exactly where it is. At some point, someone has to say, this doesn't fit anymore. And here's where people get stuck. They don't want to throw anything away until they know that the renovation will be worth it. But life doesn't give us guarantees. It gives us invitations. And this is why making decisions and moving towards the things that feel right for us in the moment, the things that feel challenging, the things that feel difficult, the things that require us and invite us to step out of our comfort zone. This is why it's an exact feedback. I'm not saying that if you make that change, it's going to go exactly the way that you hoped, but it's going to give you that exact feedback of where you need to place your focus, perhaps where you need to upskill, educate, or try harder, or completely forget about. I've done things in the past where I've set something up and on day one, I have this feeling and it says, this isn't for you. You hate this. Oh dear, what have you done? And instantly my mind will start saying, yeah, but you've made all these promises and everyone's invested and you've done this and you've done that. And you start to think of all these reasons why you are not the one that's going to make the change. When actually, this is not something that you want to do anymore. And you know this, but the only way you are ever going to do that is by trying it. Is that failure or is that just feedback? See, this is the trap. People don't struggle with change. They struggle with transition. They try to keep old habits just in case. Keep old relationships for that safety feeling. Keep old identities for familiarity. And keep those old excuses for that comfort that it offers us. They want to upgrade without the disruption. But upgrades are disruptive by nature. Think about when your phone upgrades. When you do the update, lots of things have changed. And at first, we label it as, I don't like it because it's different and you don't know how to use it yet. And things aren't where they used to be. That doesn't necessarily mean that over time, you won't grow to see that they're better or improved in some way. It's just that initial feeling that really is probably quite difficult to name. You've just labeled it as wrong. Something is wrong. I've made a mistake. I have failed in some way, when actually all you're doing is noticing the difference. Here's the question that most people never ask. What's this version of my life costing me? What's staying the same costing your future? That habit you won't release, what's it costing your health? That relationship you're afraid to outgrow, what's it costing your self-respect? That belief that this is just who I am, what's it costing your potential? Because everything you keep has a cost. It takes up space and energy, takes up time and effort, takes up attention, even if it's just to nurture and keep it the same. And sometimes the price of holding on is so much higher than the pain of letting go. Here's the realization that changes everything. You don't let go because you're ready. You let go because you're honest with yourself, honest about what no longer fits in your life, honest about what's expired. Honest about what's helped you survive, but can't help you grow. And survival patterns don't need to be shamed. They just don't need to be worshipped. So we've got to that point in the podcast where I want to give you some things to do, some actionable takeaways, if you will. I like to highlight the problem through these podcasts, hopefully tap into some real emotions about how you might be feeling or how you felt in the past. I don't just want to leave you there with the problem. I want to give you some stuff to think about, some takeaways. And the first one is identify what you're trying to protect. Ask yourself this and don't rush it because it's really, really important that you find the right answer. Don't rush it. Here's the question. What part of my current life am I defending, even though I say I want change? It could be a routine. It could be a role that you play in life. It could be a relationship. It could be a story that you keep telling yourself. Or it could be a label that you give yourself. And remember, you can't see the label from inside the jar. Heard that this weekend. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. If you feel defensive, emotional, or resistant, then we're probably in the right place. See, growth rarely asks for permission. It exposes our attachments, the things that we might need to consider letting go of or changing. Actionable takeaway number 2. Ask the brutal question. Here it is. Ready? Write it down. This is important. This is a big one. This is a horrible one. If I got everything I say I want, what would I lose? More success might cost you time with a certain person or certain people. More peace might cost you your addiction to chaos. More confidence might cost you the comfort of being underestimated. More honesty might cost you the relationships built on pretending. Now that doesn't mean that they're wrong or it's wrong. It means it's real. And for the first time in a long time, you're dealing with those facts that you've been avoiding or ignoring or hoping wasn't true in some way. And then last one, actionable takeaway number 3. Name the trade, not the fear. Fear is so incredibly vague. Trades are specific. Instead of saying, I'm scared to change, why not try this? I'm unwilling to let go of whatever it is you're unwilling to let go of, because it gives me whatever it gives you. Identifying these things will be incredibly telling and helpful. Clarity removes confusion. And once you see the trade clearly, you can choose consciously instead of unconsciously. Because here's the turning point for most people. They realize that letting go isn't about loss. It's about alignment. You're not losing something valuable. You're releasing something that's outdated. And outdated doesn't mean useless, but it might mean that it's complete. And that's hard. That's really, really hard. I've experienced that probably the most with friendships, is that I really, really want what we used to have, but we're both different now. Maybe we've had families, maybe we've made different work friends, maybe we've just drifted apart, whatever it is, and we keep trying to salvage this relationship, and all we're doing is collecting terrible experiences that we later reflect upon or blame on each other, when actually this friendship's run its course. Now, it doesn't mean you need to be savage and say, oh, I don't want to see you anymore, but maybe just letting go means that you just let things play out the way they were supposed to naturally play out, instead of putting all of this effort into creating your own misery, or each other's misery in that case. I once heard someone say, I keep asking life for a new chapter while rereading the same page. That's what holding on looks like. And here's the quiet truth that nobody shouts about on social media. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do isn't starting something new. Sometimes it's ending what no longer belongs in your story. If you want the life that you say you want, ask yourself tonight, in silence, what am I willing to release so that the next version of me has room to exist? Big question. Because the door doesn't open when you knock louder. It opens when you put something down so that your hands are free. And that just might be the real work. I've deliberately kept to like a slower, steadier pace because, if I'm honest with you, when I have ever achieved real change in my life, it's been that realization that has been pivotal to that change. Because dreaming and focusing forward and looking at what you could have in the future, that's exciting, that's hopeful, there's all of these things. But realizing that you might have to cut some stuff from your life to make space, whether that's people, places, things, whatever it is, that comes with some pain. That comes with some uncomfortable conversations or actions or choices or decisions or behaviors, whatever it is. And let's face it, understandably, we're going to want to avoid those things. And that's why the self-made course is important. Now, I know I bang on about it all the time, but it's because I know it works. I have absolute faith and confidence in it. The people that have been through it, they really have made changes. They've been frustrated, they've experienced resistance, they've experienced micro failures in order to learn what they needed to learn to move on to the next level, whatever they want to call that. I've said it before in this podcast, it's a bit like a computer game. To get past the level, you have to beat the final boss. And once you do it, you rarely ever have that challenge again. But beating that final boss is really, really hard. That's where the course comes in. Because what the course does is it answers those questions that you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning asking yourself. Like, why am I like this? Why do I keep messing up? Why do I keep seeing other people do all the things I want to do and I can't seem to get there? This is the course for you, because what this course does is it asks you the right questions instead of the wrong questions. And by answering the right questions, it gives you that clarity to figure out who you are, what you want and why you want it, and what needs to change in order for you to get where you want to be. So you'll find the link for that in the show notes. I want to say a massive thank you for listening to me this week, and I will see you next week for another episode of the Johnny Lawrence Podcast.